Do you need a teacher to learn a new language? Well, it really depends. And in this video, we'll talk about different situations or cases when you might need a teacher and when you definitely don't need it. Hello everyone, it's George again, and I'm an English teacher. I've studied English and Japanese on my own without teachers, and I'm currently learning Thai language by myself as well. Now, before we start, I have two questions for you. Can you speak a new language fluently and effortlessly without a teacher? Of course you can, no doubts about it. But will private lessons make your progress faster or better in some way? Well, there's no straight answer to this question, because it also depends on your current level, your goal, and budget. If you watch my videos, you know my strong opinion already, but I repeat it once more. I do believe that we can learn any language by ourselves. There are some pros or cons or pluses and minuses in each method, and that's why I will talk about the disadvantages and advantages of having a private tutor later in the video, so you can get a bigger picture. But what's most important is that sometimes people think they can't learn a language, or they can start speaking in English, for example, and become fluent just because they don't have that certain environment, like living in a speaking country, or English-speaking country in that case, or buying expensive courses in a foreign country, or buying private English lessons. And I can go on and go on, but all of it are just false and limiting beliefs. If you don't know what a limiting belief is, limiting means stopping, right? So a limiting belief is a belief that stops you from getting better and improving yourself, or improving your English in that case. Since I have experience in teaching English, I will talk about English more here, if you don't mind. Limiting beliefs are something that you built deeply inside somewhere in the past, like English is difficult. And to start speaking in English, you need to learn English grammar first. Present perfect continuous, passive voice, and then you need to learn vocabulary next, and only then you can start speaking English. But this is not true. Some students even believe that they will never speak excellent English, and they will never even try to achieve that. But it's just a belief, and it doesn't have to be true. You might think English is boring and complicated, but for me, English wasn't boring or complicated. I can't say learning English was always super enjoyable and effortless. No, it wasn't. Of course not. Plus, I'm quite a lazy person sometimes, and I always need to schedule everything if I want to get some things done, and I have to be very organized and disciplined. But I was definitely very positive about the process of learning. I was making fun when making mistakes, but so many people are actually afraid of making mistakes because they think, well, if I made a mistake, people would think I'm stupid. But this is so far from being true because you're learning something new. You're learning a new language. And how else you're supposed to learn it without making mistakes? Do you think you are supposed to start speaking English without making any mistakes? It's just impossible. And people understand that, people who you are talking to. In fact, when I speak Thai, or at least I'm trying to, I always make that tone mistakes because Thai language is a tone language and it's just seems very impossible to perfect. Again, limiting belief. So don't do the same mistakes. And when I speak Thai, I always make mistakes with words, with pronunciation, just the placement of the words, etc. But people who I'm talking to are so glad to hear their own language from a foreigner. They understand my efforts, and I have no fear of talking to anybody, even making tons of mistakes. And you shouldn't be afraid to, believe me. So I want you to question yourself. Do you think you have limiting beliefs? And why do you think you have them? If you think English is boring, maybe you had a boring English teacher. Or maybe you went to a boring English school. So maybe English wasn't the problem, but how you tried to learn it, or where you tried to do it, was the problem. Ask yourself these questions and try to make these limiting beliefs weaker. You need to stop thinking this way. And by the way, how did you learn English in school? Did you learn it deeply? Did you master one topic so you can know it 100%? Did you use deep learning methods? Or did you learn new words and new grammar every day without doing much exercises and trying to finish the book as fast as you can, or as fast as a teacher asks you to do that? Think about it. This is very important because this is exactly what happens in most schools and universities, and I'm not an exception here, unfortunately. But when you're on your own, you don't need to rush, and you can learn and repeat one English structure as many times as you need to fully understand it and remember it deeply. Unlike studying with a private teacher, when you have a couple of classes a week and you want to see the result as fast as you can. I know that. You don't want to talk about the same topics over and over again. It just gets boring. And don't forget that different teachers have different teaching styles. And finding the one that resonates with your learning preferences may require some time as well. I know that there are really good teachers. I believe in that. But first, it's not that easy to find a really good one that is going to love his job, knowing what he's doing, and open up for changes and all sorts of discussions. And second, let's imagine you find a professional teacher with good experience who is organized, positive, and you like his method of teaching. Now you need to find that available slots in his or her schedule, which is usually a compromise for both a student and a teacher. And I would recommend to have at least 3 classes. 2 is minimum, or 4 is the best number classes a week. But you still need to do your homework. I sometimes don't understand when people want to learn English and they don't do their homework. I mean, 2 or 3 hours a week is not going to teach you a lot, and you need to refresh that knowledge that you get in classes if you want to remember something, right? So don't forget about the homework that you still need to spend time on. And it seems to me that people tend to ease up when studying with teachers, and they think that half of the job is already done by that time. But in fact, it's just a beginning. But I also understand that somebody just wants some guidance and sort of stimulation due to lack of motivation or discipline. When you pay for a class, you're more likely to come to the class and study. But if it's your case, there's nothing you can do unless you start working on your discipline and making new learning habits. English teachers won't help you because you're going to skip classes eventually and leave the homework behind. That's why you need to work on your habits and discipline first. And for that, I recommend the book called Atomic Habits by James Clear. It helped me to understand how I should implement or make habits the right way and their fundamental structure. And in case you have that lack of money, but you are full of motivation, learning new language, you can set a goal and study a new language as much as you want. Every single day, you can learn and listen to audiobooks, for example, while walking, TV series while having breakfasts, watch some grammar videos on YouTube in the evening, and find native speakers, and not only on different applications like Tandem, Hello Talk, or Facebook groups to improve your speaking skills. And all of it for free. I mean, you spend nothing but your free time. But if you're a talkative person who's willing to spend some extra money on a teacher who's ready to do homework and still watching and reading a lot in English, I think you should go for a teacher. And it will boost your confidence in speaking. Plus, a teacher will give you some feedback on what you need to focus more and explain something that is difficult for you to understand yourself. Please don't understand me wrong here. I'm not saying that learning with teachers is useless. No. Learning with a teacher can be very beneficial, but only when you have a certain mindset of understanding that a teacher is just a part of your learning process and not the only one. It's just the component of the overall learning journey, and the teacher is not a go-to in it. And studying with teachers can be fun and interesting. My students know that, I hope. I can be boring sometimes, I'm not gonna lie. Talking about past perfect continuous cannot always be fun, believe me. But I like having real dialogues about real, true-to-life topics about my and my students' life, experiences, work environment, other sorts of discussions, which makes the class alive and fun. I also want you to know that learning by yourself can be very effective, since we have all the resources that we need for free. There are tons of different methods and materials, and you are free to choose whatever you want at any time of the day you want or you need. Just remember, the best learning method is the method that you enjoy the most. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great day, and ciao for now.